Hey everyone, I'm Clara, physical therapist and founder of Good Day Pilates. This is Trainer of the Month Club with Well+Good. Today, we're going to be doing a quick Pilates recovery class. Let's get started laying on our back. So you'll make your way down onto your back. We want to start with our feet flat on the ground, hip width apart, knees pointing up towards the sky. We're going to take a few rounds of bridging here. So we're going to nice and slowly tuck our tail and just start to articulate the spine all the way up into a bridge. Once you get to the top, really think about opening up through the hip flexors. And then when you're ready, we'll slowly roll down one bone at a time. Inhale when we get to the bottom, and then we'll go again. Just a few more like this. So we want to think here about creating space between each vertebrae, finding that really lovely spinal articulation, and also really focusing on the opening at the front of the hips. If you're someone who sits at a desk all day, those hip flexors tend to get short and tight. So we just want to open them up here. The next time you lift your hips up to the top, we're going to hold in the bridge. And then nice and slow, we're going to float the arms up towards the sky and then all the way back overhead. You're going to plant the back of your hands onto the floor behind you, keep them there, and then roll your spine down. Once your tailbone touches, those arms float all the way back down by your hips. We're going to do that again. Roll the hips up. We pause at the top to float the arms all the way back overhead. Really plant the back of the hands down, and then as you roll down, you should feel the length now through the sides of the waist, so those lat muscles. Just one more like that. Hips will roll all the way up into that bridge. Float the arms up and overhead, really plug down through the back of the hands. Keep them there as you roll the spine down. Now once your tailbone touches, we're going to bend the elbows wide into a cactus position. So 90-degree bend at the elbows. Then just drop your knees to the right and look over your left shoulder. We're going to take a little pause there. The greatest thing about these twists is we're really just like winding up the chain. So wherever you're tightest is where you'll feel it. You're going to take a few more breaths. It might be that you feel it in the front of your chest, maybe your ribs, maybe your hip. And then we'll just swap sides. Bring your knees to center, drop them to the left, look to the right, or whichever side you didn't do before. Again, pausing for a few breaths and just noticing how one side feels compared to the other. There's always one side that's a little tighter, and that's totally normal. You're going to slowly come back to center. You can hug your knees to your chest, give yourself a little squeeze. We're going to rock up and down the spine a couple of times until you build a little bit of momentum. And then you'll roll over to hands and knees. So you can cross your shins and then rolling over to all fours. Once you're there, we want our wrists stacked under our shoulders and our knees stacked under our hips. We're going to take the left arm, reach it up to the sky and look towards that left hand. Really press down into that supporting arm. And we're going to thread the left arm underneath you to take a twist. Your left ear, your left shoulder can drop to the mat. Two more like that. Left arm is going to reach up, look up, opening across the chest, and then thread the left arm underneath you, take a twist. One more here, big reach up, finding that thoracic rotation, that rib mobility. Again, really nice if you sit at a desk all day. We're going to pause on this next one. So let that left ear settle down into the mat. If you want a little more here, your right arm can float up to the sky. We might even like to wrap that right arm behind your back and find your left hip crease. Use that to leverage your chest open a little more in that twist. Let's just take one more breath here and see if you can twist a little further as you breathe out. You're going to slowly unravel, coming back onto hands and knees, and we'll go straight to the second side. That right arm is going to reach up. Look up towards your right hand. And then thread the arm underneath you, take a twist. Let that right ear drop to the mat. Two more like that. Press into the left hand, reach the right arm up, open the chest, and then thread the arm underneath you to twist. One more. Again, noticing any differences side to side. Again, totally normal. It's just good to know. I'm going to hold this next one. Again, maybe you pause, maybe that left arm reaches up, or maybe it wraps behind your back and it's going to help you twist a little further. Just one more breath here and out. making your way back to hands and knees. Once you're there, walk your hands forward, tuck your toes, and lift your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Once you're there, start to pedal out your feet a little, so bend one knee, bend the other. Maybe you shake your head yes and no, just releasing any tension through the neck. And then make those movements smaller and start to find some stillness. Let your heels drop, flare your sit bones wide. Your right leg is gonna float up towards the sky. And then we're gonna come into a pigeon pose or a pigeon stretch. So we're gonna swing the right leg forward so your shin is parallel to the top edge of the mat. Lengthen that left leg back behind you. Come onto your fingertips just for a moment and open up the chest. And then maybe you stay here, or you can start to fold forward onto your forearms. Let the forearms come to the ground and let your chest melt over that front leg. Now, if this feels like a little too much, you're welcome to grab a pillow or a towel and just pop it underneath that front hip. That will give you a little more support. We want to feel that right hip opening, especially through those glute muscles. Let's take 2 more breaths. Nice and slowly, we're gonna press back up onto our hands. We'll make our way back to our downward dog. So tuck your left toes, step your right foot back to meet your left. Again, just find some stillness here, maybe after a few little pedals of the feet. And then your left leg's gonna reach up to the sky. We're gonna swing that shin forward so it's parallel to the front edge of the mat, finding that pigeon pose. Come onto your fingertips first, just open up through the chest. And then if you want, you can start to fold onto your forearms. Again, block, pillow, towel, any of those things can go underneath your left hip for a little bit of support. And see if you can just breathe into the space on that outer left hip. 2 more breaths. Nice and slowly, we're gonna press back up onto our hands. Make your way back to downward dog. Tuck your right toes, step your left foot back to meet your right. Take a moment here, let the heels sink down, noticing again how one side might feel different to the other. Then we're gonna start to walk our feet forward towards our hands so we can find a forward fold. Feet will be hip width apart. Let's grab opposite elbows here and soften the knees. Let the head drop. And then if it feels good, you can take a sway side to side. And then just feel how the small muscles that sit next to the spine in the low back just start to open up a little as you find this twist or this sway. And then we're gonna find center, let your hands reach the floor, soften your knees again, and we're gonna roll up to standing, bone by bone. Once you get to the top, give those shoulders a little roll up, back and down. We're gonna float the arms up towards the sky. Once you're there, grab your left wrist with your right hand and let's lean up and over to the right. I want you to really ground down through that left heel and see if you can peek up underneath that left armpit. And just feel how you open up not only that left shoulder, but also the left obliques, the rib cage, all those little intercostal muscles that sit between your ribs. 1 more breath and see if you can get a little deeper as you breathe out. Coming back to center, we'll swap our grip. Grab your right wrist with your left hand, lengthen, and then lean to the left. Really grounding into that right heel, and maybe looking up underneath that right armpit just to feel a slightly different stretch. 1 more breath. Get a little deeper as you breathe out. Coming back up to center, arms go wide as you fold back down into a forward fold. Last time here, you can pedal out the legs, you can shake the head. And then plant your hands. We're gonna step back to a plank. Just take 1 breath here. Knees go wide. Drop your hips to your heels and find your child's pose. Last breath. Just let your chest sink down towards the floor. Your hips go back towards your heels. Now, nice and slowly, you can walk your hands back towards your knees. Make your way to sitting back onto your heels. Great job, everyone. I hope you're feeling really good in your body. Again, my name's Clara, and this has been Trainer of the Month Club with Well+Good. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to Well+Good.